I feel like one of the biggest reasons why people don't make content is because they think that they don't have enough ideas for content. And the thing is, like, I'm making this mistake too. If you're a veteran in something, like if you've been doing something for a while, you should literally have unlimited content because, how you became a veteran in something is by learning million little things. It's not just one or two or a few things that got you to where you are. And I think it's because there's few things overall, the stuff that everyone's talking about, like put in the work, be patient, be yourself. Like there's like the basic thing that everyone's saying. But if you go more specific, there's so many tiny little things, skills that we've learned along the way that made us good at what we do. To give you an example, like I was terrible at, like in my agency, I was terrible at going over the number of revisions. Like, so people will keep asking, well, can you change this? Can you change that? Can you change that? Like that kept happening over and over and over. But over time, I learned that the reason why that happens is because I'm allowing them to give me little changes at a time rather than forcing. So what happened was they'll just get an idea and they'll be like, oh, can you change this? Like immediately. And then they get another idea like 2 hours later and they'll email me again, right? So they weren't taking the time to sit and really think about the design and really come up with the right comments to send me at once. So what I had to do was I had to say, okay, and I learned this from Christo, but here's email. When I send them a design, I say, here's revision version 1 of 3. And then the second round, if they ask me for one tiny little change, I'll send them the one little change and it'll say 2 of 3. So that, and they're like, uh-oh, I only have one more left. So now they're more careful in giving me their feedback, right? So like I learned so many tiny little tricks like these running my business, right? What do you do when client doesn't pay? Like, what do you do when clients keep showing up late, like to the meetings, right? There's so many tiny little things that we've learned throughout our career, right? Like even technical stuff, right? Like I didn't notice that when I use Photoshop to design, when I see a lot of people make this mistake. They'll put something and they'll put a drop shadow on it, but the shadow is usually always too heavy. I see people doing it like 50%, 70% opacity. But if you make it like 15% opacity, it actually looks much better, right? I noticed that when you have a logo, when you have a spacing around the logo the same amount as the logo, that makes the logo look much more luxurious. I noticed that when you just fix tiny little alignments in everything, that makes everything look better. Like I noticed that when on the top menu, when you make the font size less than like 11 points, it actually makes it look much better. Like there's so many tiny little things that I've learned along the way that I can share. I don't. So I'm making this. I'm not saying like this is, it's easier said than done. But we just need to remember that in whatever work we do, there are literally million little things that we've learned, and all those little lessons are when we share it. Those are the ones that people are going to find the most helpful. I think what we should do is we should try to talk about everything that we know and see what people respond to, and whatever that they respond to is the thing that's relevant. Because what the market is telling you is that this is what they want from you. For whatever reason, the way you deliver it, the information you give, whatever reason, they find it helpful, they find it useful. I teach storytelling because that's what people want from me. Not because my dream is to teach storytelling. That's not what it is. Based on what I put out, that's what people kept asking me.